Good evening, everybody. I'm Kate Chartner, Chair of the Concord Historic Districts Commission. Welcome to the March 26, 2025 meeting of the HDC. Tonight, the Commission will review two new applications and two items under other business. We are conducting this meeting online in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. The public may access this call through both telephone and video conferencing. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide comment on applications and discussions following the petitioner's presentation and questions from the Commission. To do so, please raise your hand in the participant function of the Zoom meeting platform. If you are calling in and cannot use the platform, you may raise your hand by dialing *9. Our host will mute microphones of those not speaking, and in order to preserve bandwidth, may need to turn off video at times, with the exception of the commissioners, the host, and the current applicant. I will call on commissioners for comments on an application and then open the meeting for public comment. Once there are no more public comments, I will ask for a motion from the commission to continue to approve with conditions, or to reject, ask for a second, and then conduct a roll call vote. Once the commission has acted on an application, the applicant is free to leave the meeting. I will now conduct a roll call for members for this evening. Timothy Whitney.
Present.
Melinda Shumway.
Here.
Bill Hewitt.
Here.
Walter Clay.
Present.
Louis Caldarella.
Here.
Dennis Fiore.
Here.
And I'm Kate Chartner. And I think that's our complement for tonight. And the voting members this evening will be Melinda Shumway, Tim Whitney, Louis Caldarella, Bill Hewitt, and myself. So without further ado, I know we have Mr. Mackey from Lang Street with us. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, would you like to tell us what you have going on?
Sure. Anne, can you give me share screen capability?
Yes, I think you have that. You can
Okay, I apologize if it's a little wonky because I'm doing this from my laptop and it's not that obvious what I need to do. I was going to show you a picture. Well, let me just start with a quick narrative and then I'll stop sharing. My name's Tom Mackey. I'm a trustee of our 38 Lang Street Realty Trust. My wife and I, her name's Margaret, live here. We've been here since 2022. Last Thanksgiving, the year before, I fell down the front steps carrying the mashed potatoes to the car. And I don't want to do that again. So we've decided to put some railings on the front steps of our house, which are basically two on either side of our front steps are iron handrails that we've provided pictures of our entranceway where the rails are. And is there any possibility you can pull that up? Because I'm going to have a heck of a time figuring that out.
Yes, sure. Just one
Thanks.
second.
Okay, so that's our existing entranceway, and I think there's a second picture virtually the same, but it depicts the railings. No, that's our neighbor's house. You'll see they have black railings. There should be one that does. Keep going. Well, that's another neighbor's house on Lang Street, same style. Across the street in Lang Street. I think that's on Lowell Road. Yep. That's on Lang Street, another similar design. Well-known building in town. Ours will not have the balusters. It'll just be a straight rail and, you know, a top post and a bottom post with one intermediate post. Let's see. There may be some other. Yeah, this is the people that manufacture it are telling me it's galvanized. Oh, here you go. If there's a way you can rotate that. This will show the exact placement of the railings. You'll see that there's a top step that's like 36 inches across that needs to have a supporting intermediate, a vertical post. And then obviously it goes to the bottom step. It does not go down all the way to the ground. There may be, oh, this is just an example of the type of railing they're going to install. It's installed with some little like 4x4 feet that get bolted into the existing structure for the stairwell. Our stairway is constructed of like 2x6s, and then it's got mahogany treads. I don't know if I have any other pictures to share. Probably not.
No, I think that's it.
Thank you, Anne.
Okay.
So I'm open to any questions if you have them.
When were you hoping to do this work?
Probably in May. We're going away for a couple of weeks, but as soon as the contractor come out and do the measurements, it's a pretty quick turnaround.
Mhm. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch, are they going to be painted or is it going to be
They're black
bronze?
galvanized iron.
Okay.
And there's no filigree. There's just a little bit of a curly, a little bit of a curly Q at either end, but it's not going to have any kind of fancy ironwork.
Mm-hmm. I don't have any other questions. Anybody else? Tim, you're a banister expert. Everyone's got a specialty.
Thanks for that. No, I don't have any questions.
Okay.
I have no questions.
Questions?
All right. Well then,
What a good way to start the evening.
no kidding. We could have a motion.
I move that we reject the app. No, I'm just kidding. I move punchy mood tonight. I move that we approve 38 Lang Street as submitted.
Second,
Thank you. I'll go around for a vote.
no public comment.
Oh, thank you, Bill. Any public comment on 38 Lang Street's banisters? I don't think so. We have a motion, we have a second, and I think we can go for a vote. And let's see, Louis,
I'm an aye.
great, Melinda,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
and I'm an aye, and we are all ayes. It is unanimous. You may have your banister.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I don't need to do anything as follow-up. Do I get something in writing from you folks?
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't want to mix up the
You-
order.
You get a certificate of appropriateness, but you don't need to wait for that to begin. You can.
Okay, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Your staff was very helpful with me because I was a little confused along the way. So thank you for the
Oh,
quick,
excellent. Yes, they're very good. We're very lucky.
appreciate it.
a
Thanks for
lot.
the complete package.
Okay,
Mhm.
good night, everybody.
Good night.
I-
Okay, next up is 5 to 15 Lexington Road from Joanna Boynton, who I was just thinking of the other day. We haven't seen her in a long time, but tonight she's being represented by Joel Bissell. Who
Is
is
on
welcome
mute.
to present. Joel?
I'm here. Can you see me or hear me?
No, but we can
can't
hear
see
you now.
We can hear you.
Hi. Thank you for having me. Sorry, I don't know why you can't see me. I'm unmuted. But I'm representing Joanna, and she bought the property to basically keep as is and try to get some rentals out of it, and maybe have some short-term stairs and keep family there as well. So we're going through the property to try to make it as maintenance-free as we can.
Mhm.
And we have to put in a pipe for the venting system of the plumbing. And so we were hoping to put a cast iron pipe out the back of 7 Lexington, which I do have some pictures here. So the pipes wouldn't be red, but they would be black cast iron. And there's one at the bottom of that picture on the roof that you might see would be very similar looking to what we were proposing. These would be visible not from Lexington Road, but from the cemetery. There are other ones on the roofs already in different areas. There's a good example of 2. There's another one on 5, which is the top left, but you can't see it. And then another one over on 15 and 13. And I actually talked with the plumbing inspector and had my plumber out there to take a look at everything. That's as is now without anything through the roof. They said that we could actually get away with one particular plumbing stack instead of having to go with 2. So that's just one perk that we maybe don't have to have the 2 penetrations, but just 1.
And Joel, this is coming about because
We
HVAC or something's being replaced or updated or,
Yes, we're updating the bathrooms in the house. There's and we're trying to make it a little bit more accommodating. We're adding a bathroom as well.
Mhm.
And so to bring and we're getting rid of a lot of the very old cast iron pipe that was in the home, original to whenever they put in the plumbing.
Mhm.
So to bring everything up and to give an extra vent to the system, we would like to add that pipe.
Okay.
I'm sorry, questions yet?
Sure.
If you have any questions.
I assume it's required by code, is that correct?
Yes,
And is there no stack on the current system?
there is a current stack in the front of the building.
Got it. And that will remain?
That will remain.
Okay. And the diameter of the stack is similar to the one shown in the picture? It's not?
It's actually gonna be a bit smaller, 2 inches.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
2 inches. And Joe, what, about how high did you say? Like 15 inches or something?
It actually have to come out of the roof about, just to protect it from any snow. It should come out of the roof about 3 feet,
Oh, okay, that high.
which is kind of similar to one of the pictures where it just had a cast iron pipe coming out of the roof, on itself. It should be about, I don't know, 30 to 36 inches.
Okay. Bill, any other questions? You're very good at this
I guess
stuff.
I'm the stack expert now.
You're the stack
uh,
guy, you're the double dip galvanized guy, you know, it's you I turn to.
Is it in fact cast iron or is it going to be?
Yes, it will be cast iron.
It will be cast iron. Okay.
Yes, and there is a roof boot that will go on with the shingles, and we're gonna keep that to a black to make it disappear with the color of the roof.
Thank you.
Any other questions, anyone? Linda, you've got a gleam in your eye. You look like you want to ask.
No, I
about
think
this
this is just fine. I want them to have that bathroom.
Let me open it to public comment, since this is visible from the cemetery. Is there any public
They're all
comment?
asleep.
They haven't complained to me once.
Oh, wow, they're good. They're easy.
Right.
Is there anyone who would like to comment on the pipe installation at 5 to 15 Lexington Road? It appears not.
I'll move we accept the application for 5 Lexington Road.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Louis. I'll go around for a vote. Tim,
Aye.
Melinda,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Louis,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So you will be able to install your pipes, 1 or 2 as needed. I don't know if you need to notify us, which you do. Probably.
I can certainly take a picture of what we do and then submit it to Ann.
Okay, that'd be
That's
great.
helpful.
That'd
Yeah.
be nice. Yeah, just for good order's sake, that'd be great.
Yep.
We have to be
Maybe a
careful here. We're
preference
gonna
for
ruin our
1.
reputation.
I know, really. Thank you. Say hello to
I-
Joanna. We haven't seen her in a long time.
I will, and I appreciate it. Thank you for the time.
Good night.
Sure thing. Thanks.
Okay.
So did we set a record?
I think we are. yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
9
I-
minutes.
I don't know what to tell you guys. Well, we have other
Bad
business.
night.
Hold on. Yeah, hold on. Other business. Maybe. All right, look at David Levy is here and he is gonna churn out about 2 hours worth of discussion, I bet, with his
Good
item.
boy.
So let's see, other business, informal discussion about window replacement at 19 Main Street.
Yeah, thanks for having me. David Levy. I'm the owner of 19 Main Street in Concord. And I'm coming to you today because our windows are broken. And we've been thinking about replacing them for a long time. And I can't put it off any longer. So I wanted to talk to you about my thoughts on that and get your feedback before I come in for a formal application. I did take some photos of the property, of the windows themselves, actually. I don't know if everyone's familiar with the property, but this is like a brick 2-story building on Main Street that was built in 1959 to replace a historic building that was there previously. I can show a picture of the building as well, if that would be helpful for folks.
Yes.
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay. And I can share?
Yeah, yes, please.
Okay. Let's see. So that's the building.
Oh, okay.
So I, just for some background on me,
I'm sorry. Is it the white building or the?
it is
Okay.
this building right here.
Mm-hmm.
Stories, brick, yeah.
Got it.
So just some background on me. I've worked in housing and real estate for almost 30 years. I've renovated older buildings, owned older buildings. I kind of get it. I served on the Historic Commission in Arlington for 3 or 4 years. So generally know what I'm talking about a little bit. So as you can see on the building, there are large fixed windows, and then there are the sort of double hung operable windows. I'm not planning to touch any of the fixed windows. I don't want to touch them. I don't think it's necessary. The reason that I want to deal with the operable windows is because they're not operable at the moment. So I just want to make that clear. I have no plans to touch the historic large fixed pane windows. But all the other windows, as you can see, I have some close-ups, but they have very old storm windows on them. And then inside, can I stop sharing this picture? Is that okay?
But before you leave the picture, there, it looks to me like there's 11 windows that you're talking about. Is that
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or 11.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, something like that. Yep,
Yep. Thanks.
exactly.
And there's one fixed window in the front.
One here, and then 2 more here.
Oh, those are fixed.
Okay.
I'm sorry. That's how I got
Yep,
to the
and then I think one back here too.
Okay.
Pretty sure. But none of those I'm going to touch, other than, I'll probably want to replace, with your permission, the storm windows here with black storms, so they're not white, because all the windows are black.
So there's storms over the fixed windows.
It seems that way on the side, yeah. I don't see if we can get closer. I don't think we can. I can also take pictures of those the next time, but yeah.
Okay.
So I was going to share the close-ups. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So that's what the outsides look like in general. They've got brick mold, the old storm windows, and then the interior sashes. They all generally look like that. Some are in worse condition than others. Obviously, it's hard to see the window from the outside, but I wanted to show you some inside pictures.
These are single pane wood sash
They are,
windows.
yeah,
And when you say they don't work, meaning they don't slide up and down or?
correct.
Okay.
They are very difficult to operate and they don't lock. Let's see. Okay, here's a picture of the window. So, these seem to be like Brosco replacement windows, I believe, because the jam liners are plastic and metal. Unless you think that that was used in 1959. I don't think it was. Or these are original windows and someone replaced all the mechanisms, but I can't imagine that they would do that.
Are they all consistent?
That's a great question. I don't know. I think so, but I'm gonna note that. I don't know if they're consistent or not. I've looked at them all.
That would be a big clue.
Yeah, right. Yeah. They all, I mean, all the ones I looked at have the same jam liners, so I'm assuming they are.
That's a plastic jam liner, you said?
Yeah, metal with plastic, yeah.
So no sash weights kind of stuff.
No. So they all generally look like this. I think I have one photo that's a little bit closer up. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. So you probably know what's coming. I would love to replace them, because I would like a really energy efficient window there and not have to deal with storm windows for my tenants. And I'm happy to put in whatever historically appropriate window you would like, Marvin or Pella or what have you. I understand if you don't want me to do that as well. But I wanted to get us, like, every board is different, so I just wanted to get a sense of how people feel about this, like how wedded are you to these particular windows in this particular circumstance? I've walked around Main Street quite a bit. Some buildings still have original windows, some buildings have historically appropriate replacement windows, like it's kind of all over the place.
Okay. Dennis?
I knew you were going to ask me.
I know. Yeah, like I said at the beginning of the meeting, we all have our different strengths.
I have a hard time working up a lot of sympathy for these windows, I have to say.
Yeah.
I'm trying hard, but I'm not getting there.
That's good. That's a data point.
I'm
85
assuming,
years old, Dennis.
yeah, I'm assuming these windows are replacements. I think if they're the metal with the plastic inside, that's a fairly recent treatment. The other thing about windows like this is that there was this whole period when wood was hard to come by, and they were making them out of fast-grown southern pine, which meant that they were very susceptible to rot because the wood was not very firm. So I have a feeling these are not terribly great windows to begin with. I particularly hate the white storm windows on the outside, although you could put inside storms. So I'm really conflicted on this, and I'm not going to hold up my standard on these windows because I don't really feel that they're vital for this building.
Thank you.
Yeah, as a window person too, I agree with Dennis on this. I don't think they're, if they had old glass or something, or if they don't seem really, getting rid of those storm windows would be such an improvement as well.
This building needs all the help it can get. It's very plain, so it needs more articulation on the outside.
I guess
Or
that was
less
my,
articulation.
I'm sorry, Walter, go ahead.
So, or less articulation if you're taking off the storm windows.
Well,
These are set in brick all the way around, right? So there isn't going to be much casing.
no.
Sorry, Bill, you were saying?
Is it possible to go back and look at the picture of the front again?
Yep. You, Bill, the whole front of the building or just?
Yeah, where we could see that picture you had of the alley in the corner.
You got it.
It was helpful.
Yeah. It's just from Google Maps, but yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, how's that?
Yeah, I just think on those, first, philosophically, I would defer to my window expert colleagues here and certainly agree with that. I think what's interesting is whether the building on the opposite side of the alley gives you any clues to what you might want to put in. Like I noticed the second story windows on the one across the alley. But on the alley side, the brick facing side, those were 1/1s. The first floor weren't. So it may be worth thinking through, is it automatically 8/8s that you want to do? But to the point of the storm window removal being a huge help, it'd be interesting to know what you could do with the casing around that front, because somehow it looks like it was I don't know, boarded over by that layer of clapboard that's on there now. And the color choice is also an interesting question. I realize you're not getting into repainting the building, but it's just such a contrast to the building to the left that has a pretty graceful
You mean
casing.
Helen's?
Yeah, Helen's second story there. But anyway, I come out where Dennis does, but looking at what you could do on those front casings might be kind of cool, taking the storm windows off.
You mean, when you say the front casings, you mean,
Right there, yeah, exactly. Is that
right? Yeah, I mean, there's not much to paint.
Mhm.
So, thank goodness. So like I'm open to repainting it at the same time. Like if I'm going to do it, I'd rather do it all at once. I mean, I did have it repainted a couple of years ago, I think. Just,
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm not, it's not our role to suggest repainting it. I just, taking off those storm windows would make a huge improvement. And while you're doing it, there are other things that you could do.
yeah,
For
If I may, how about this? It's built in 1959. The chances are most excellent there are photographs
Yeah,
at the time of the building, right? I mean, I'd be quite surprised if that weren't the case. What I would really like to see is what it looked like as close to its original state. I think that if we're going to be trying to make collectively, and including you, David, if we're trying to make a decision about where the almost stylistically the window should be, I would think we take a clue from how it was to start as the best target.
yep.
Good idea, Walter. I think Main Street is photographed all the time. I'm
Yeah,
sure
I mean,
they have all
duh.
kinds of pictures of it. Photos of it, I should say. I think that's a good place to start.
yeah, I opened, which I can't find now for some reason. Where is it? Oh, I know why. I opened the what is it called? Macros? No.
Macros, right?
Page. Oh, there it is. Okay, hold on a second. I'll share it. If I can find you again. Okay. Okay, here we are. So that's a pretty
Hasn't
early.
changed much.
Yeah, it hasn't. I mean, so I think that picture was taken in early, like 1990.
Dennis, you've changed a lot more since 1955.
That's for sure.
Well, ain't that interesting, right?
That was 90. Well, this Macros report was written in 1992, so I'm assuming that photo looks like about 92.
Yeah, late 80s maybe, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's still 30 years in its evolution, right?
Yeah.
So,
but
so my question, my suggestion still stands. There's something this is interesting, but
yeah,
anything could have been done in those 30 years.
yeah. So if the town can help me find older photos, that would be great. There must be some sort of archive or something.
Well, the best place to start is the library, I
Let's
suspect.
see Anka Voss, who's the head of special collections at the library. It's down in the basement of the library, and she's very helpful.
Okay, special collections.
Right.
Last name is spelled V as in Victor, OSS.
Could you say that again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, her last name is spelled V as in Victor, OSS. First name is
Boss. And her first name?
Anke. A-N-K-E, I think.
Yeah, A-N-K-E. No, it's Anka, but it's Anke.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so that sounds good. That'll help if we're talking about.
I guess maybe we haven't talked about your question about roughly what makes and styles of replacements the committee tends to prefer. I don't know if
Yeah.
Dennis or
Well, I think it depends on what you find in special collections. You can't tell until you do a little more research on what was originally there. And are we assuming, I forgot to take a look, that the lower window, which was all small paned, is original to the building?
I think so. I mean, it's got a lot of paint on it.
I'm assuming that. So probably the windows above, Bill, were probably small paned also to match it. I would assume.
That's my assumption too.
Let's find out.
Yeah, it's be good to find out.
Yeah. Okay, I can do some of that research. So am I getting the sense that the commission isn't entirely against me putting in inserts from the inside so that, you know, the brick mold is preserved on the outside and etc.? Or I just wanted to get a feeling of the commission so I can get a sense of what I should be doing.
Well, I'll go. I would like to see pictures as close to the original state of the building as you can find. That's a research project. And then at that point, I think we're all assuming that the storm windows, the external storm windows on the front were added after the fact. If that's the case, then I would be looking for a replacement window that met your needs in terms of its construction and energy efficiency, that had the least visual change to the street from the original window that was there. It sounds like you're willing to not take the cheapest route out if there's a real reason to not do that, and to honor the originality of the 1959 building. That's where I'd be.
I would also say,
Energy efficient. And, you know, and the change often is that gets in the way of you know, originality, but I think there's probably a perfect compromise there.
and David, something else that often gets rejected is any kind of insert window that changes the proportions, the exact proportions of the windows. So beware of that. I would say. There have been many discussions about that.
Right.
Often people think if you take off the storm windows, you have a larger, you know, surface area of glass. But I think the commission generally supports windows that are exactly the same construction in wood, that are not inserts, but that replace the jambs as well.
Yep.
Okay. Just to be specific on that, just because I've lived this before. So, so you're saying, Louis, like, so you prefer not having like a Marvin or a pellet insert, or you
I think it depends on the Marvin. I mean, there are different, I think Tim knows a lot more about this too than I do, but there are windows that are inserted without replacing the actual framing that change the proportion of the glass ratio from length to width.
I see what you're saying. Right. Basically the stops come out and the new window gets slid in and then the stops get put back. That's your traditional insert. And you're saying, Louis, that if I
I've
did,
seen the commission often reject windows that change the proportions of the glass in any way.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So we'd have to look for an insert in that way that had a very narrow frame so that from the outside, the overall dimensions are the same.
Yeah, or a replacement window that would replace the jambs as well in wood, you know. So an actual replacement versus
Like a new construction window, you mean?
I think so. Is that what I mean, Tim?
Sorry, David, like a what?
New construction window, meaning that you're
Yeah, I mean, if you take the existing sash out and leave the existing frame of the window and put in a new window insert that has a new frame in itself, so you're putting a frame within a frame, so the window actually gets smaller. That's our objection is if you want to replace these, we advise you to replace the window and the frame. So just like new construction.
got it.
And
Got
whether,
it.
and we vastly prefer, I mean, we have no problem with a Marvin window or a Pella, as long as the mullion, given the fact it's going to be insulating glass, that the mullions are very close as you can get to the existing, so that they don't become fat. We know you can't get precisely that, but we
No,
do have a
I-
real problem with, this is Lewis's point. We have a problem with when you're putting a frame within a frame because the whole window gets smaller.
Totally.
Is that
So,
understandable?
yep, totally understandable. And no aluminum cladding on the outside, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
We prefer wood, painted wood.
Yeah. Okay, so that's totally fine. So if I did that on the brick side, that means that the window would come all framed with new brick mold, which would be very similar to the brick mold that's there. I assume that's okay? Assuming that if it's Marvin, they probably offer several different brick molds, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it depends on what's there. I don't know how the committee feels. I think if we closely match the existing brick mold, is that a problem? I don't think it is.
I don't see it as a problem.
That's the line, no.
Okay, got it. That's super helpful. Okay.
Anything else? Any other questions from you, David, or questions from the commission about this?
Just one other, not to belabor the window point, but we also, not that it's our job, but you know, if you replace the whole unit, including the jamb, you've got a much tighter installation. You know, you're not dealing with an old frame there. You can properly seal the whole perimeter of that new install for a much tighter installation.
100%. Yep. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so I've got some work to do and some good direction here, so I'll get to work on that. And then I'll plan to be in touch with the town about getting officially on a meeting in the future with a proper application.
Sure. Thank you so much for,
Thank you for asking.
for asking, doing the
Thank you.
legwork.
Good.
We really appreciate it. And
Yeah,
hopefully it'll make things easier for you in the application process.
much easier. Yep. much
Great. Great.
easier.
Night.
Right, thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great- Take care.
Good night. All right. Minutes.
I move we approve the meeting, the minutes as.
I'll second.
Okay, I think we can just hand vote that one. All in favor?
I
Aye.
did read through them all. I was there, both of them, and I think they're fine.
I forgot to get to them. So, okay, good. Thank you, Walter. Thanks, everybody.
That's another record.
Yeah.
Walter didn't find a mistake in the minutes.
Yeah, wow. Okay, I think that's it. Anne? All
I
right,
have a question for
I think
Anne.
that's it. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Now that we have so much time, I can ask a question.
Yeah,
Driving through town today, I
Mhm.
noticed that the shoe shop that's on the Mill Dam, you know, the one in the columned building, the sort of charming
Yeah.
column building.
yeah, Footstock.
Right.
Mhm.
Footstock has a new sign that I really like, but did we approve that sign?
I don't remember
I
that.
don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
It's in the shape of a boot, awkwardly hung, with a sort of scaffolding between the columns. And it's a large boot hanging down that says shoes on it.
Sounds very colonial.
I mean, I like it. It's sort of 19th century. I like it, but I don't remember ever approving that.
I suspect you're right.
It's a
Take
little
look.
different from our usual guidelines.
Is
That's
it
a whole
a
nother
big
can of
departure?
worms.
Their last sign, is it a blade sign or is it a
No,
facade?
it's a carved boot.
It's a
Is
carved.
it hanging or is it against the building?
the
No,
way-
it's
yeah.
hanging. They have a sort of this not very attractive scaffolding between the columns that allows it to hang out over
Oh,
the
okay. So it's like parallel to the facade. It's not
right, and
perpendicular
it's
to it.
a
It's not a blade.
three-dimensional. It looks very 19th century. I'm not complaining about it. I just don't remember ever passing this thing.
No, that
Different
sounds
than
like
every sign.
a big one. No, huh? Well, I have to go there pretty soon, actually.
Take a look at it.
I will identify myself, and
Exactly.
Ah,
An undercover agent.
Yes.
that's how I used to have to do it. That's how I used to have to do it in Georgetown. It was treacherous. Well, since we have all this time, I'll bring up one thing. Oh, Tim?
And you may be bringing up what I was about to bring up, so why don't you go ahead?
I don't know. You go first, Tim.
Well, it has to do with the house to the left of Concord Art.
Yeah.
Oh, gee.
I was gonna bring that up tonight too.
Our favorite house.
And I think
Just saw that today.
there's been no movement on the jacuzzi in the back, which it's been quite some time, so
Yeah, I'm not, and I had wondered about that myself a couple of weeks ago, because I mean, to be fair, in front of the Concord Art building, intermittently over the past several weeks, there's been either heavy machinery or there was, road work. And so, things were a little, obstructed there, but now literally the dust and debris has cleared. And, there's, the jacuzzi's there. There is, not pea gravel in the driveways. Did you see that, Tim? Remember I described them
I
as
did. It's much larger than pea gravel. It's like small rocks.
rocks. It's like I said, it'd be a steady supply of rocks you'd throw at your siblings. And they and then there's also a large wood stack there, which I did inquire about because I was walking past and they were stacking it, and I thought I'll do them a favor or potentially and say, you might need to have this reviewed, or was it in your landscaping plan? And that didn't go so well at all, which I relayed to Tim. But at all, I got 20 minutes of well, pretty much outright abuse about the HDC and overreaching and overstepping and our general cluelessness and our weirdness and our rudeness.
Was this from the home?
The homeowner and
I put my hand on my cheek. I can't talk. From the
You
home.
did? yes. And so, I listened to him because I thought obviously he's aggrieved. And, there were some takeaways from that. But what I was asking was there's sort of a Lincoln Logs kind of construction going on there. And I said, it looks like you're building a fence or a gate. And I was told in no uncertain terms that it was a creative way to stack firewood. And that's how he heats his house, through a lot of firewood. And, I said, otherwise I would stack it here along the side of the house, but there's not enough space there, and this looks very colonial, and people have been telling me how great it looks. And so I said, I really don't know what to say to that, because I've never come across a wood stacking issue before. And so that was just last week, and then I've been away for the past few days, so I haven't really had a chance to kind of circle back on that. But it seems like it's time, unfortunately, to review that house in some shape or form, that application. But I wasn't at the last meetings, so I don't know how things were left with the jacuzzi and the landscaping.
I was, and I think I was chairing that meeting. And my memory is we got through all of it in a sort of step-by-step fashion, this, that, this, that.
Mhm.
And it came down to the jacuzzi and the whole back part and the screening of the jacuzzi and how might that be done from the public right away, public view from the cemetery.
Mm.
And what could he do creatively, they do creatively to screen that, if anything? And including moving the jacuzzi, and everybody nodded. I don't believe, maybe Anne, you can remember, I don't believe there was anything else dangling of this rock business in the driveway on both sides of the house actually is different from what we expected, but independent of that, I don't remember anything else that was dangling. You know, he agreed to change the brick color or not paint the brick. He did, you know, he wasn't going to paint the gutters black, and there were a whole bunch of things that he agreed to in that meeting. So it was a fairly good meeting, I thought, actually. But then there's been no word about the jacuzzi, and now that meeting was been months and months and months. So I don't know, maybe it's been a year. I've lost track.
The jacuzzi does, when the firewood wall is, and this is what he pointed out to me, when it is, you know, at full height, does block the view to the garden.
But only from the street, not from the cemetery.
Right, only from the street, not from the cemetery. And so I said, well, in that case, it's a wall, and that was not approved in your plan. And so that's when he said, well, actually, it's a creative way to stack firewood, and so you can't adjudicate that. And I said, then it's not always going to be blocking the jacuzzi. I said it got kind of ugly. And then I thought, actually, I don't really know where things were left. And I know that, you know, he did modify a lot of things and has done good things to that property. And so I thought I'll just stand down for a little bit until I get my
My reaction is we're better off. I mean, the jacuzzi is the meeting was very clear on that topic.
Mm-hmm.
And I would stick to getting that resolved and not worry about firewood stacking and whether he has stone versus pea gravel.
Yeah.
The jacuzzi is the thing that is really quite clearly not consistent with the guidelines.
Which also has always been the sticking point since this first came up 2 years ago, you know, and I feel like no one has liked the jacuzzi, but I feel like actually maybe to our detriment, we've been trying to accommodate the jacuzzi when in fact, perhaps just from the outset, we should have said it has to go.
And from an enforcement standpoint, do you need a town permit to install a jacuzzi?
He did the work himself, I believe.
I don't know if you
still may need a permit.
Well, yes, but when
as a water, as an open water code thing.
It's plumbing and electric, and I would suspect
just electric.
Well, would you need a safety code thing because it is
I assume so, but
and there's no safety fence around it? I would assume so as well.
If I may, at the site visit that we had, I asked very specifically about the installation because it was installed. It wasn't just sitting there.
Yep, I remember that.
Right. And it's a combination of electricity and water. And when I asked sort of casually about it, I was told that I believe that Zur had done it himself, is what he said.
Yes.
And there was no evidence of it having been inspected or approved, certainly not approved by us, but nor by anybody else. So I think it may be entirely an amateur installation of a mix of water and electricity.
I assume Anne can follow that up with the building department.
Yeah.
Well, we
Yes,
agreed
I'll
on our
follow.
site visit where the jacuzzi should go, remember?
Wasn't it?
I'm not sure that, I think that we had several suggestions and expressed a very strong preference for where it should go. But my memory of this is that the entire issue had never been fully resolved in the meeting.
That's my memory.
I thought we had, it was going to go in
I don't think so.
the far corner, and it was going to have a gazebo over it. So if you looked over from the graveyard, you could not see it. You'd look over it. And I thought that's where he agreed he'd put it.
I think that was a suggested
Right.
among the more preferred outcomes. But it was suggested. It wasn't agreed to, and I don't remember it being addressed in the meeting that we had fully. There is a video. Yeah, I mean,
We had-
pictures and videos. I'm happy to watch through that again. My memory of it is that when we had the application that we, and under Chair Fiore, we took it in, I believe, was this Dennis's meeting or was it yours, Tim? I believe that we broke protocol to some degree and took the application, step by step and went through it.
Right,
But
right.
I am
Long,
pretty sure that that was never fully resolved.
no, interesting. I thought it had been. Anyway,
No,
I
I
think
did
they were
not.
the landscape architect was going to resubmit. There
Right.
was a partial
That-
withdrawal.
That's
and
my
the
recollection.
jacuzzi
Yeah.
was withdrawn, and then she was going to resubmit. So I could follow up with the applicant and with the landscape architect.
That's,
And
that's
the building
clearly
department.
Moore's, right?
Let's figure out whether it was, because my understanding from Dennis and Luis is that a large part of our enforceability gets routed through the permitting process.
Mhm.
So it's worth having the facts on whether the thing was permitted appropriately.
Well, the original act actually does spell out, I think it's only a $200 fine, but there's a fine structure.
Yeah.
And there is, these violations are misdemeanors. And specifically, I would think that if you were trying to be a licensed professional in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and you were obviously guilty of several misdemeanors that having to do with real estate, that wouldn't be an especially pleasant place to be.
I think from our encounter last week, the homeowner is not deterred by those teeth whatsoever. Was he told me repeatedly and pointedly. However, one thing came
Interesting.
up that I will share that was that the homeowner was remarked on how rude we are at site visits. And so I asked him to elaborate because I thought, well, that's no good. And he said that we don't introduce ourselves and we don't say hello, and that is very rude. And so I thought about that. And I remember when I first came on the commission 10 years ago, and I remember I had a little hiatus when I was in Rome, but and I remember somebody telling me, I think it was Mark Giddings, we just go to these site visits, we just listen. We're not meant to speak to each other, but also we're not historically not even really much to the homeowners either, because there's just not meant to be any bias, any sharing. So, it was always pretty quiet affair. And that's what I explained to Mr. Atias. I said, I think, the tradition has been usually one more of reticence and not sort of chattiness. But he said, well, it just seems very rude and offensive. You're at our house and we're having to share details about our home and you can't even be bothered to say hello. So just food for thought. And I said, well, I'll share that with the rest of the commission, and there's something to that. And there's probably not any harm. Dennis, you're smiling slightly, perhaps, and
Being
so you're going to when you come to someone's home, they usually greet you and say hello. They don't expect you to say hello first. So obviously he has different manners than other people. And
I think he said hello. No, I think he said hello.
we've gone to many homes and have been greeted by people when we arrived.
Mhm.
I don't understand his problem.
Well, maybe we didn't. Maybe we didn't.
the point's taken.
Yeah.
How he perceived us.
Yeah, I thought. Oh, yeah. I thought, all right. Even in this very heated exchange, I thought, well, there's some takeaways here. So anyway, food for thought.
Good. We'll be nice to him next time we throw out his jacuzzi.
Can I just say, if this is the first time I saw the stacked wood, and it looked to me like it was almost a frame across the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's bizarre. I mean, and it is very visible from the road.
It is, yes. And
I mean, it'd be one thing if he was out in the country, but it's what was that thing he had in the front yard that he did put in the back that was also not quite
The Home Depot
Lions or the
dog.
whatever it was. It reminds me of that, only this is a little less formal. I don't think it should be there.
Well,
period.
in fact, if it is a stack of firewood, we don't have a paragraph on firewood in the guidelines,
We
so.
do not. And he pointed out, he said, I use a lot. He said, this is actually the second time it's gotten this high. This is a new delivery of firewood. He said, and then it kind of goes down and then I rebuild it. He said, if it weren't here, I'd have it. And he showed me a place by the side of his house that would be stacked here. He said, but there's only so much I can stack there. And I pointed out, you also don't really want to stack wood against your wood house. So I wasn't really, he felt that in fact it was kind of it's sort of homespun creative way to stack firewood that, he felt was kind of more of some colonial ingenuity there.
Like I said, my suggestion is we stick to the jacuzzi because
Yeah.
the kind of
So
the
that-
same
So
question.
that's where that came from. So it's not meant to be a permanent fixture. He was clear about that. It'll go.
Well, the area being taken up by the hot tub would be a perfect place to stack firewood.
All right.
I just
Maybe,
think it'd
maybe
be
in the
nice,
jacuzzi.
I think it'd be nice to have it gone by the 250th. I do,
Yeah, good luck.
but yeah. with
Yeah,
him.
I'm with Bill on this one. I sort of thought about that one. There's nothing in our guidelines. He's kind of done it in good faith, so to, I'm not,
Yeah, I mean, I assume that, but I still doesn't mean it's appropriate.
I agree. We'll deal with the jacuzzi first.
It does at least suggest that it's not a permanent structure. He said it's not permanent, which means it would have no bearing on screening the jacuzzi, which is good.
Right. That it's relevant to screening the jacuzzi or not
Right,
admissible.
exactly. He's got to pick which side he wants on that. It's not permanent, so it doesn't need to be approved. On the other hand,
I suggest we get our facts nailed down here.
Well, there is a video to watch to refresh. I will do my best to get to that too.
But anyway, that's where that stands with the Lincoln Logs wall.
Okay.
Okay. So,
All right.
anybody else? We're still way ahead of the game. It's not 8 o'clock yet. So we're even with all.
Kate, you said you had something.
I know mine was going to be that property.
Oh,
That was my takeaway about introducing ourselves at site visits, or being mindful of our potential rudeness.
I do remember saying hello, and I thought it was a totally reasonable shaking of hands around a circle. So I don't quite understand that, but that's.
Right, in the front of the house when we.
I think there. have been
Maybe
a
I
couple
misheard
times-
it. Maybe just I am rude. Maybe that's it. So,
That must be it. I'm sure
I'm
that's.
bringing you all down with me. Okay, so
All right. I move we adjourn.
thank you very much. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.